Hi, my name is Alma Katsu, and I'm the author of The Deep, which just came out this week. Um, if you know my books, they're historical fiction with a little bit of a horror twist to them. And, they're about the history, but they're not about the history. So let me tell you a little bit about this one. It has to do with the Titanic, the sinking of the Titanic, and the sinking of its sister ship, the Britannic. So in The Deep, we have a young woman, Irish, comes from a modest family, and we see at the beginning that she's run away from home, and the circumstances are a little unclear. She manages to get a job as a stewardess aboard the Titanic. And there she meets, all of the rich and famous people that we've heard about over the years, the Astors, Benjamin Guggenheim, Lucille Duff Gordon, who ran a high fashion house at the time, William Stead, who was supposedly the most famous man to have died on the Titanic. He was a British newspaper man of some renown. But she meets this one passenger, a young man by the name of Mark Fletcher, and she's finding that she's really drawn to him and to his infant daughter, Ondine. Well, shortly after the ship sails, there's a death aboard. A young boy is killed, and he's a servant of Madeline Astor, wife to J.J. Astor. And Maddie Astor is just heartbroken because she feels that it's her fault that the boys died. But she also has the sense that something supernatural is going on. And sure enough, shortly, very strange happenings start taking place on board the Titanic. But before we can come to find out what's really going on, it's the fateful night that we've all heard of and the night that the Titanic sinks. But the story's not over there. 4 years later, Annie finds that she's a nurse on the sister ship to the Titanic, the Britannic. Now, this was because of World War I, and that Britain was facing so many, the fighting was so intense on the continent that they needed to ask the owners of the ocean liners to convert their ships to hospital ships to bring all the war wounded back. And so that's why Annie is on the Britannic. And they're there taking on patients when she sees a familiar face, and who is it but Mark Fletcher, whom she thought died on the Titanic 4 years earlier. They're reunited, but shortly thereafter, the mysterious happenings start all over again, and it forces Annie to confront, her part in both of the tragedies. So the book is very much, of its time, which was the end of the Edwardian era. So it's very, kind of glamorous, just like that age. And, there's a lot of mysticism involved. It was a time when people really believed in occultism and spiritualism. So it's got this very gothic feel to it. I really tried to evoke a little bit of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca in it. Well, I hope all this sounds interesting and that you're interested enough to go and grab a copy of it. If you need to order it, I'll have some links, but also you can go to my website, which is almakatsubooks.com, and there's plenty of links there and a lot of other materials. You can read, I have a fact sheet there on the Britannic, so you can learn a little bit more about that ship, and some other background reading, and links to my podcast, Damned History, where I talk about the history behind my books. And for The Deep, there are 2 episodes that are up, including one that has to deal with Titanic conspiracy theories. There are a ton of them, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy that. Well, thank you very much for watching. And again, I hope you'll go out and get yourself a copy of The Deep.